There we are, good start to 2022. A fire fail. Good morning and welcome back to the woods and welcome to 2022. It's January the 2nd and this is my first out into the woods in about a week. The weather has been quite miserable over Christmas, so I haven't been able to get out, unfortunately. But fortunately I've been able to do a bit of knife making, catch up on some projects. Well, I thought today I'd give myself a little test. What I'm going to do, I'm going to light a fire with two tools, a silky saw and this knife. Today I got my Zubat, but any folding saw, pruning saw will do. And the plan is I'm going to light the fire with a downed log. It's wet, so I've got no dry twigs here, and basically I want to get a cup of water to a rolling boil and I'm going to time myself. And when you're on the clock, there's a good chance that things go wrong because you rush. Let's see how long it takes. Doing it with just a knife, basically I need to cut knot free. So any knots and branches, I gotta cut that section out, or I won't be able to split the timber down with just a small knife. Right, that was a bit tough. Feather sticks. At this point, when my fine curls wouldn't light, I should have realised that this wood was wet. I failed. Being on the clock is no good for anyone. Took me half an hour to fail. Excuses time. This wood is damp. It's crap. Basically, there we are. That's my excuse. Lighter. See, it even goes out to the lighter. There we are, good start to 2022. A fire fail. But all is not lost. And this is why the sensible survivalist always carries something special for lighting fires. Wax card discs. There we are then. So not all wood is created equal. That was wet. That didn't want to light. I was on the clock, so it made me anxious. Didn't take my time. Not much more I can say about that really. When it's wet, carry fire lighters. It's going fine now, and I'm looking forward to a cup of tea. When I got up this morning, I was pretty confident that that would work and I would get a rolling boil within 20 minutes. How wrong was I? Thing is, it's all well and good going somewhere nice and dry and cutting a piece of timber, and when you split it, it splits perfectly, and you've got an axe or a big knife and it's nice and dry. It's a piece of cake. I didn't realise how wet that log was. Struggled with the small knife. Now if I'd have used an axe, it would have been a damn sight easier. And I'm basically, after I've had my cup of tea, I'm going to show you how much easier, even with a small axe. So this video has turned in from an ego boost into humiliation and a lesson learned. But that's good. Great. boiling now and it's roaring. But if I hadn't have had them wax discs, I'd have had to have made probably another igniter stick, 2 decent ones, and then some crappy ones as well. Whereas in my arrogance, I thought 1 igniter stick, 1 okay stick, and a few crappy ones would do it. It didn't. No way. Yes, so lessons learned. Great start to 2022. Now I'm going to have my cup of tea. Whilst I'm sitting here enjoying my cup of tea in the warm, I thought I'd tell you a little story about people being unprepared on a trip. Several years ago, on a canoeing trip to Sweden, the weather turned a bit crappy and we decided to lay up for 24 hours in one spot. Now we always take a tarp with us, a big tarp, so the little dano huts that they have in Sweden on the lakes, we strung a tarp up, we had our fire going underneath, and if you've watched mine or Scott's Sweden videos, we split a lot of wood up, dry it out, so we know we can always cook on the fire, dry out. Well, it was about 7 o'clock in the evening, we're sitting there all nice and comfortable with our fire going and our food cooking, and a young couple turned up. They were soaked through to the skin, and they'd gone to camp on the other side of the island where we were. There was a big fire pit there, there was a load of big logs, and they said, we can't light the fire. They hadn't brought anything tool-wise with them to prep any wood, and to be honest with you, they weren't really capable of it anyway. They weren't woodsy types. They'd just gone out for a nice canoe trip with their little tent for a couple of days. Well, they were soaked through, couldn't light the fire. Can we have some of your fire? Obviously we had to help them. I think that's all he had. He either had a box of matches or a lighter with him, and I asked him, well, how did you plan on lighting a fire? Oh, birch bark, he said. Well, the only problem is, with that area, loads of people go there in the summer, and they take all the birch bark off the trees, all the birch trees, unless you go into the bush, they're all stripped bare. So fire lighting isn't particularly easy from scratch, and they had no tools. Cut a long story short, somebody had left a little axe, blunt, rusty old axe in one of the shacks in the Dano hut. I sharpened that up, I gave it to him, and I said, take that with you on the rest of your trip, so at least you can split some wood up and leave it in the last hut you come to, so somebody else can use it. Well, we took plenty of split wood down, got their fire going for them, and I'm assuming they dried out because they'd gone early the next morning. But they had no tools with them, no fire lighting aids apart from whatever it was, a box of matches or a lighter. There was no way they were getting a fire going at dusk, soaking wet. So just a little story to say, be prepared. Even in somewhere like on the Swedish lakes, it's not really a life and death situation, because you're not that far from civilization and you've got your mobile phone, so you're not going to die or anything. But it would make your trip quite unpleasant if you had to phone somebody up and say, I'm soaking wet and I'm freezing cold, and somebody just let a shotgun off. So I thought, just say that quick little story, be prepared. Well, I've just sawn 2 rounds off that tree, and I just wanted to demonstrate how much easier it is to split with an axe, even a tiny little axe like this. And one thing I did want to say, I had quite a few comments about me battening an axe through a log, and people saying I was led to believe you shouldn't do that. Well, fair enough if you're going to hit it with a lump hammer or the back of another axe or something, because people were worrying about distorting the eye. Well, you hammer wood, pegs in, you hammer bigger stuff in with it. There's nothing wrong with hitting it with a wooden batten, but obviously I wouldn't suggest hitting it with some other form of steel, big axe or a lump hammer. Just don't do it, because that will deform it. Hitting it with a wooden batten won't do a damn thing to it. If you know any different, tell me. But I'm pretty convinced of the fact hitting that with a wooden batten won't hurt it. Bit of a difference. I know my batten is a bit thick to hold, but 10 minutes work. You can easily ring it with a saw, chop it out and make a handle. I've shown it before, loads of people have shown it. It's a piece of cake, but I just wanted to demonstrate that even a small axe like this, damn sight more powerful than a knife. Maybe not a big knife like a Bowie, which is great for battening, but carrying something small like that could be the difference between life and death or a very uncomfortable night. Let's get these splits on the fire. Just so much easier with an axe, so much better. And let's face it, we've learned something today. If you're going out in the damp, take an axe. Yeah, don't rely on a small bladed bushcraft knife. Okay, if I'd have had some smaller diameter wood, would have been a damn sight easier, but I didn't have it, and I wasn't about to go and look for anything, because around my area here, most of the thin stuff has come down and it's been burnt. Yes, so an axe is a must in damp conditions, in my opinion, unless you want to carry some sort of aggressive fire lighter. And when I mean aggressive fire lighter, I mean something like rubber tubing from a previous video. That goes up really well, not particularly bushcrafty, but as a survival fire lighter in the damp, it's excellent. Cut a couple of strips of that, get it going with a lighter, and bung a load of twigs, even wet twigs, they will go up. This gadget, haven't used one for a while. I call this my super duper fire lighter. I basically ripped off the grey bearded green beret, and a few other YouTubers have made. Lonnie, Fran North Bushcraft, he done a version as well, and this is basically some big matches, and there's lifeboat matches in there as well, which flare up like hell, covered in wax, and I put a few pieces of rubber around it as well, and that'll burn for over 5 minutes. That'll light just about anything. I leave a piece of jute twine on it as well, so if I didn't have a lighter and I didn't have a decent surface to light on, I could actually light that with a ferro rod. Later ones of these I've made them double-ended, because I have found you strike it, put it under a pile of damp twigs, within about a minute or two, it's only burnt down to there and it's lit, so you can use it twice. But using that in one go, over 5 minutes of aggressive flame, that's a good idea. Hexamin blocks, not a big fan personally. If they're not stored in a plastic, they will weep. So not for long-term storage. I think wax is the way to go, wax and rubber. Well, that's it for today. Hope you've learned something. Hope you enjoyed my video. Ta-ra! Thumbs up. And I hope you have a happy, prosperous and carefree 2022. Bit of luck, it'll be better than the last 2 years. Ta-ra! This is a message for my mate Dave Clements. Get well soon, mate. Don't let COVID-19 beat you. I'm thinking about you, pal. All the best. Hope to catch up this year in a show or something when you're better. All the best, mate. For the faithful who stay till right at the end. Not a lot to say really, just hope 2022 is good for you. And it's better than the last two, basically, like I just said. Plans I've got afoot. I bought a Ken Onion workshop gadget with the grinder attachment because I'm finding sharpening larger knives with secondary bevels or convex grinds on them bit of a pain in the ass on the stones, bit slow, and I had some Christmas money, so I bought one of them. So I'll be doing a video review on that. Not sold on the attachment that comes with it. I have sharpened up a couple of kitchen knives with it. Well, I didn't like it, but I bought it for the grinder attachment. So there'll be a video on that quite soon. Right, I don't think there's any bloopers. If they are, they're on now. Have a good one. I'll see you next year. No, this year even. Ta-ra. One more thing. My regular viewers and contributors to the comments, thank you so much. You make my channel what it is, and I really appreciate your comments. Even the bad ones. No, I don't really appreciate them, but you got to have them because, you know, we're all different. We've all got our different views on things. Right, I'm going to have another cup of tea, finish these off, and I'm going home. Ta-ra. I don't think I'm amazing. Everyone cocks up, and that was general arrogance that I thought I was going to do that 20 minutes, thought no problem, done. Nah, half an hour to fail. Noisy bastards, my opinion. Unless you want to carry some sort of aggressive fire lighter. So I can find a fucking thing. And when I mean aggressive fire lighter, I mean something like rubber tubing